please explain why you explicitly state that all gene technologies can only be used in containment facilities? And why is this such an important recommendation?
Sure, I can do that one. So, as we've touched on earlier, a lot of gene technologies are based on template sequences, which guides where the gene technology binds and does its activity. So, the sequence is made to match the gene that we want to change, but DNA can also squeeze into this template sequence if it's close enough. So if we think of putting on a pair of pants that's too small, um, we can squeeze ourselves into the pair of pants, and at the end of the day, we're still wearing pants, even if they're not made to fit us. So it's the same for DNA. If the match is close enough, it can still bind and create that change in the genome. So that's an unintended change from gene technology, and that can happen in the organism that we're interested in. And the reason we're recommending doing it in a containment facility is that we can contain all the unintended close enough changes that have happened inside of that containment facility within that organism that we're interested in. But also for a containment facility prevents the exposure of other types of organisms that may be exposed. So if we were applying a gene technology to a field of plants, but in that field of plants, there's also a range of other organisms, such as earthworms or pollinators, microbes in the soil, or people working in the field. And when we've applied this change and it leads to all these unintended changes in those genomes as well, it means that those changes are automatically, immediately in the environment where they can spread and be passed on. So the cat is out of the bag at that stage and the damage has been done. So we think a containment facility requirement would alleviate that.
Though it might be technically covered by other legislation, such as the Biosecurity Act, would make it easier for unscrupulous players to cause economic harm to New Zealand. As an example, we are heavily reliant on dairy as a primary export. And dairy cows are heavily reliant on eating grass and stuff. And that grass and stuff is reliant on earthworms, who make sure that the nutrients and soil conditions are best suited to those pasture grasses. Very, very small changes in the productivity of an earthworm magnify up to the productivity of a dairy cow. And if you were to use a genome editor simply as a mutagen, sprayed on cropland, on pasture land, with the specific intention of undermining the viability or activity of earthworms, you could have a major impact on our production capacity. That would all be technically legal using exempt activities. And if I were a dairy company in a different country, and I even just wanted to see whether spraying these on earthworms could be a good thing, I would do it here, because if I was wrong, it's not my country that will suffer.
So it's the lowest entry point, the lowest bar. That's what we would become.
Mm-hmm.